Hey guys, Jack Dice here with Obsessed Fishing, and welcome back. Welcome to season 2, I guess, of my series Up and Coming. If you guys haven't watched the videos before, this is my series of videos as I compete in the FLW BFLs. And this year I'm attempting to do 3 different divisions. I wanted to fish as many different places as I could this year, so that meant finishing as much and as many different divisions as I could. So I'm doing the Shenandoah this year, the Piedmont, and the North Carolina. And so to start off the year, this is February. This is the first event of the North Carolina division. This is on Lake Norman. Now, if you've seen the other videos and you've seen the finale from last year, I fished a regional on Norman in October the year prior, and that's about all the experience I had on Norman. But I did really well. I finished 7th, but it's a completely different time of year. February, it's freezing cold, rainy, and I didn't actually get much practice for this event. I'm actually a college student myself, and you know, February is prime time for school. And so going into the event, I really wanted to fish deep. I thought it would be fun. I like fishing deep when I can find fish deep. So I did a lot of looking for that in the morning, spent a lot of time by the dam in some areas in brush piles and things that I had found from graphing for the previous event in October, and didn't really find much, didn't get any activity. And so I went straight back to where my confidence is, and that's on the dock. So I ran up, just rolled into a pocket where I've caught fish in the past, skipped like the second dock, got a bite. And I fished around for a good while, skipped a lot of more docks, and only had a few more bites. It wasn't much, but that was it. So it wasn't looking too fantastic, but that's all I had. And so I was gonna go into the tournament and fish the best I could. It starts off, the conditions we had for this event were pretty brutal, honestly. Freezing temps just above freezing, rain and sleet through the night, mixed in through the day. It wasn't gonna get warm at all. The wind was gonna start to pick up. It was gonna be windy, rainy, sleety, and freezing cold. So in those conditions, it's hard to focus. The biggest thing is keeping your mental focus strong and focusing, you know, on those bites, because at the wintertime, those bites can be subtle. And when you're freezing cold, you tend to, and the bites, you're not getting a lot of bites, you tend to get distracted and fade off and not pay attention to what's happening and not feel those bites when they actually do come, and you don't capitalize on them. So that was my goal coming into the event, and also I wanted to fish free. I feel like that's something that really has helped me as an angler, is learning to not be afraid of not getting 5. It's a skill I'm still trying to learn, is not to be scared on the water, fish free and fish fearless, meaning that when I make a decision, I don't question it, and I don't worry about, oh, you know, what will happen. Don't want to freak out about the specifics. Maybe I won't get a limit. What if it doesn't work out? Well, you got to make it to find out. And so, started off the morning, we take off. I look over and I look at that bridge that we start off. It's got a lot of nice riprap. I'm like, what the heck? I'm gonna pull out a crankbait and I'm gonna crank this riprap to start. Hadn't practiced it at all or anything like that, and just figured I'd give it a shot. And pull up on the corner, set up my boat, come around, get to a key little corner of the riprap on the bridge, and bang, catch one. So I back up, put the fish in the live well, set back up, cast to the exact same angle on those rocks, and bang, I catch number 2. And so I catch 2 fish in the first 10 minutes of the event. I've already got 2 fish. So things are looking good. So I figured this is the right move. Stay with it, stay on this windy side of this riprap. The water's a little bit stained. This could be a really good deal. It. Inches, right?
Yeah.
Oh, he just misses. Well, that's disappointing. So I fished and I fished around the bridge and I didn't get anything. I was like, all right, let's start running around. Start running around areas where I've seen riprap in the past. I have fished around the 150 bridge before, just completely different times of year, and things weren't really happening. Saw a couple anglers around, ran a few little points, riprap points and banks, stuff that looked really good. Like, I was pretty confident that it looked like places that I should get a bite, especially considering how fast I got those first 2 bites. And I didn't get any feedback at all.
Net. Really, there ain't anything there. Really? Yeah. It might be a striper or something.
Oh, gizzard shack.
Big old gizzard shack.
Look at that thing.
Dang, I was hoping it was a big old...
He fought like a striper.
Yeah.
That might be one of the biggest ones I've ever seen.
The biggest one I've ever seen. Not the right species.
And I'm looking at the clock and the time is ticking and it's getting a good chunk of the day. And this is where those questions start to come. You start fighting yourself. You're like, do you stay or do you go? How long do you give it? You get 2 bites really fast. You think you don't want to be dumb and just leave just because, you know, you caught some fish in practice doing something. You should be adaptive. But at the same time, you can't let a single bite derail what you have figured out. And so I fish and I fish, and 3 or 4 hours have gone by, and I say, you know what? I haven't got any more bites, no even signs of life. And I've gone back, I've refished the bridge, and nothing. I say, well, it's time to head back down to the Clearwater where my confidence is. At the very least, this isn't working. I need to make a decision, and I'll live and die by it, whatever happens.
Thank you. Oh yeah. 14 and a quarter. 14 and a half. That's a big one. Scared when he jumped that he's gonna come off.
Yeah, I is too.
Too many horror stories.
A little bit closer now.
Bet.
God.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. Wow. It was looking dire earlier.
What?
It's looking a little bit better now.
Yeah. That's what you did?
Yeah.
Fine. Which is unbelievable.
The next dock over, I've never fished it before in my life. Feel the brush under it, suddenly it gets tight, set the hook, filled out my limit. That was number 5. And that felt really good, just to get a limit. It had been a tough day. And yeah, I caught a few other shorts after that, and really realized what I dialed in was that, you know, I'd looked very hard in the one day of practice I had for a deep bite. And in the tournament, that just never materialized. Those fish were pretty shallow. Started getting bites on a lot of the shallower docks or on the shallow sides of the docks. Though it may not be right on the bank, I wasn't getting bit there. I wasn't getting bit on the deeper docks. It was kind of funny. You'd think in February that the fish would be on the deepest docks, on the deepest part, but they were kind of in that mid-range depth. And some of them were coming even shallower.
It was bringing to me. Oh shoot. I got one.
I've been sitting here messing with it. I got it. I'm sitting here messing with my crank, and then I realized my line is under the boat.
That one will call out your little one?
I don't think so. No, this is. I don't think this will call anything.
At that point in the day, when I was finally starting to get dialed in, I missed a fish. They were finally starting to go, and I was like, oh my gosh, this is the time I need to start culling. Look at my watch, look at the Lowrance, and time's up. We gotta go. So made the long run, trucked it all the way back to the 150 bridge, and that was the end of the tournament. That still ain't warmed up too much. Yeah, I'm just taking them off the clips. A little largemouth. All right. Thank you. Appreciate all the help.
This is Jack Dice, boulder out of Virginia. Appreciate you fishing, man.
Thank you.
5 in a bag. How'd we catch them?
We caught them all different ways, cranking to start, and we thought that'd be the deal, but then they stopped biting, so we went to a shaky head down the lake.
I got you. 5 in a bag for Jack Dice. 5 bass, gonna weigh 9 pounds, 10 ounce, 910, top 5 right now for you, Jack.
Thank you. Coming into weigh-in, I was kind of disappointed, though I was super happy to have a limit, with not a lot of practice and the bite being pretty tough for Norman. It was still Norman. I figured with a lot of times those cloudy days and the windy weather, a lot of times nasty weather days on Norman can be days for great weights. You see that in tournaments a lot, you hear that a lot. So I figured it was gonna be a good day. And so with it being tough and me not having a lot of weight, I really wasn't too excited with what I had. I was happy to have a limit, but that seemed like it was all it was for me. Happy to have a limit, happy to start off, making some good decisions, not dying by what I'd figured out. I think that was the best thing that I can look back on this event. If there's any regret I have, it's that I didn't make the decision to run back down to the clear water, to the skipping docks earlier in the day. It was, I can't fault myself for sticking around for a little while because I got those bites so quickly, but when 3 hours goes by and you haven't had a single other sign of life, nothing at all, that's the time you should have bailed before then. And that's something that I'm learning, is when to stay, when to go. It's probably the hardest question we have as tournament anglers. And tournaments like this one teach you a little bit more about timing and how long to give something before you say, if this is done, I need to try something new. But, it wasn't as bad as I thought, actually. Driving back home, I finally get the text. It takes a long time for them to get everyone in, and so I just drove home. It's a 3-4 hour drive home for me. So I started my way home and I get the text message from my result. Ended up finishing 17th place. I ended up cashing a check, and not like the last check either. So it was a pretty tough day on Norman, but it ended up getting me a good check, and it's a great start to the year. I couldn't be happier to start off with a check. Though I'm looking for greater, that was definitely a happy thing, and it showed that the decisions I did make, though I didn't make perfect ones, I made good ones enough to cash a check, which is always, when you're paying money to fish, it makes me feel a whole lot better to get that money back. And nothing else to say, but thank you, God, for a good finish, and can't wait to get to the next one. The next event is on Lake Wiley, a lake I've never been to, but I'm excited to go and learn something new about this sport, bass fishing, that I love so much. So thank you guys so much for watching this first episode of this season of Up and Coming. I hope you enjoy, and I hope we have better things to come. Thank you guys. Tight lines, God bless. We'll see you next time.
Oh, what the heck? Yay, we finished.